Hey caller, you're on the air on Peace News Now. What's on your mind?
Hey, I just listened to your last guest, and he was talking about the best form of government being a benevolent dictatorship.
Yes,
Um,
he considered a benevolent dictatorship to be possibly the best form of government. Just sort of thinking out loud. I don't think he holds a hard stance on that.
okay, well, I actually have a interesting thought about that because supposedly back in Atlantean times, they had like initiated priesthood, but more current comment about that is there was the story which was never told about Hitler, and
Okay.
that was he went from 500,000 marks for a loaf of bread in hyperinflation to the leading economy in Europe, highest technology and art and science in 3 years.
According to what
And
standard?
just like on the world stage, like everybody, like he won Time Magazine of the Year for like this accomplishment. He made 6 million jobs in 3 years from
Wait a minute.
hyperinflation.
Okay, Time Magazine Man of the Year doesn't mean much. It's been awarded to several dictators. It's even
Right,
most recently been awarded to um, the former head of the Federal Reserve. So,
right. Yeah, that's not a very good indicator. That's not anything. But I'm
yeah,
just
and how
like,
can you say that someone's like the top in art? Isn't that a subjective thing?
yeah, but let's say
And is it really
before
Hitler's
before that
responsibility? He wasn't
period,
painting.
before that period, postmodernism was taking over, and that's basically throwing paint splatters on the wall or like shitting in a box and calling it art. Like he brought back like a higher standard. Like he kind of threw out all the.
So what are you saying here? That genocide
It's
is
not like
okay if you can produce
it's
good
not
art?
like this is what I'm trying to like emphasize here either. I'm talking about the economics and the technology.
I'm skeptical that a benevolent dictator is could even exist. I mean, if you become a dictator, don't you have a thirst for power already, and aren't you probably a psychopath, as we just talked about in the first hour?
That's definitely possible, and it's probably most likely the case.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about an enlightened, initiated person that has been initiated properly to to know what is best for him and for his people in a God's eye view.
So do you think that any one man or group of men could decide what's best for 300 million people or 7 billion people?
Well, let me just like can I go over the summary I like wrote to you on Skype and then from that context I can expand on it because
Go ahead, you're on
that
the air.
is that okay?
Say what you want.
Okay, so basically what Hitler did in those 3 years is he kicked out all the international bankers. Like he used I guess a blanket racist term like Jew, whatever, but I'm not racist or nothing.
What
But anyway,
evidence do you have that he kicked out international bankers? Because from my readings, the Germans, the Allies, and the enemy. Okay, so both sides were funded by international bankers, and that's been happening since forever.
right. If you look at some not acknowledged or like not allowable documents or history, you'll see that he nationalized the German banking system under his government and like
Well, what
throughout.
does that surprise anybody? Nationalizing means he took ownership of it.
Right, he
That's what
took
a
ownership of it.
dictatorship does.
Right, that's correct. And then he created his own monetary currency called the Reichsmark and issued that under nationalism that a sovereign nation can create their own money, and backed up by their by the inventiveness and the hard work and
Oh, baloney. That's a legal fiction.
the people. But I'm saying that's what
Fiat money is a legal fiction. There's no real value behind any of it, except for the value that each of us contributes to the market.
It's a unit of account, but like I'm saying, what he did was he created public works like the Autobahn and created a car company called Volkswagen, and he paid them out by the currency that the Reich created, and those people would spend their money on the shops, and so he created 6 million jobs from hyperinflation, where like 50% unemployment. He got full employment, and then
yeah, wait. If you give everyone the job of digging holes, then you have 100% employment. If you take away all their tractors and all their mechanization, then you've got 1,000 times more employment. I mean, employment is not always the end-all, be-all. I would like to be unemployed, lazy, and relaxing in a sea of plenty. But since I have to work all day, like that's not an ideal. Shouldn't we mechanize all?
Okay, well, you could do that, but he didn't because he was somewhat benevolent, and he created like a national highway system and a car.
How is that benevolent? Now wait a minute. How is it benevolent to steal everyone's money and then order them around to tell them what to do? Meanwhile, throwing hundreds of thousands of people into ovens, millions of people.
Like I know in your context, like most dictatorships are evil.
All dictatorships are evil because people don't choose them and they kill people.
Right. Well, like actually, he was elected, but like that's not the point. The point is
no. Elected doesn't mean that everybody chose him. You understand that, right? Because I didn't vote for Bush, I didn't vote for Obama, and I didn't choose them as my leader.
Right. So I'm saying, like, okay, everybody's money was already stolen at that point. He was in a state of hyperinflation. He gave their currency international value by demanding that if you wanted to buy the German goods, you had to buy in the currency that the Reichsmark.
Okay, so some dictators can do some good things. Is that your point?
My point is,
I'll concede that some dictators can have some good.
I'm not saying that I'm like I know full well, but I'm saying that your caller's premonition that a benevolent dictatorship might be the best or like a really good form of government is actually not a joke. Because,
I think it's baloney. I know some people consider it real. I think you consider it to be a real good solution. I have yet to see a benevolent dictator, and when one comes along, I'm going to be highly skeptical.
Yeah, it's really actually pretty hard to have one because it's almost like impossible to have like an initiated person.
Yeah, I think the closest we got was Ron Paul, who was in Congress for something like 3 decades, and at the end of his second or third presidential run said, you know what? There's no can-do with this. This is not a solution. Politics is not the answer. Give it up, and look outside the system for your solutions. Look inside yourself for your solutions. That's where world peace really comes from. This is Peace News Now. Hey, caller, you're still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, we're on a break right now. We have 4 minutes, and I was going to continue with some news segments. Did you get out everything you basically wanted to say, or you have one more point?
I guess pretty much I got my idea across. But,
well, I wouldn't mind continuing the chat, but then we have to go once it's time for news segment time. But so, are you for real that you think that benevolent dictators could be a good thing, or are you just playing devil's advocate here?
No, I'm for real, but actually, it's like you have to have a proper education and a proper creation mythos and a proper understanding of the place of humanity in the universe to actually become a benevolent dictatorship.
Yeah, but everyone has a different idea about those things. And if there's some dictator who says, okay, or if it's you, if it's Kang the dictator, and you're saying, well, I'm so benevolent, I know what's best for all 300 million of my subjects because I'm super brilliant and I have a supercomputer. I know all the right answers. I should still be able to say, I don't care. I don't want your choices enforced on me, and I own my body, so therefore I own all my own choices. So
that's correct too. That's actually correct. And but a benevolent dictator wouldn't infringe on those rights either.
A benevolent dictator wouldn't do those things. I see.
Right. Like you have to take it as a.
It's not gonna happen, man. It's not gonna happen.
It was possible. Say
You
what
know
was possible to happen.
No, because a benevolent dictator would have to lie to the dumbed-down, bootlicking population who loves their servitude, who love their chains, and he would have to lie and say, I'm going to keep giving you all sorts of welfare, I'm going to keep giving you all the handouts of government, and then he would have to not do those things. He would have to lie to them.
Let me just finish out like Hitler's example real quick. Okay. So he made these public works, the Autobahn, whatever, and paid out and whatever. Also, a side effect from all that is there was no taxes, because why would you need taxes if the nation can create some money to pay for things? So there was no taxes.
Yes, there were.
He didn't do it, but
yes, there are. There are taxes. They're invisible taxes. When you print money, you're stealing from people's savings. That's a type of inflation.
That's what happens with a debt-based money system, but he didn't have a debt-based money system. There was no taxes because it wasn't based on borrowing money to create currency.
Baloney. Baloney. It was fiat money. It was fiat. It was by decree. The international bankers prop up all fiat empires. This is no different. Why do you have some hang-up about Hitler being some good guy? Where'd you learn this? Are you in university or something?
I graduated university 10 years ago. I've learned this through alternative channels and finding out real history and
real history, the one that says Hitler was benevolent.
And finding out about ancient civilizations and all that stuff. I've gone through many facets of reality and all sorts of.
Well, I've got a lot I can learn from you, but I'm very skeptical. I'd like to see some more evidence. Call in again sometime.
I can send your way. Sure, I can do that for you.
I would love that. Thank you so much for the call, Kang. I really appreciate the interesting discussion. All right, I'll chat with you again soon. Cheers.
All right. Bye. Bye-bye.
Are you an anarcho-capitalist? Are you someone who believes in self-ownership, that you have a right to your body, your life, your choices? I sure do. I believe you own your kidneys, and you own the dollars and cents in your pocket just as much as your kidneys. You own your property just as much as your eyeballs. And that extends to homes and all sorts of property. That's how we get private property rights. It's just part of natural, it's part of nature. We own our lips, so we own the words that we say. We own the effects of our actions. So that includes, children, raising children properly, and all this stuff. It has huge implications in how we live and how we interact with others in the world. Kwong, who dials us now on our Skype line, which is Peace News now, says he used to be an ANCAP, but no longer. Kwong, can you explain?
Yeah, so I used to be an ANCAP, and actually I even used to be an atheist, but learning about nature and also being a computer scientist and writing agents and self-organizing systems, chaos doesn't bring that high level of complexity.
Why do you bring up chaos?
Because chaos is a state of anarchy. It's the state of no law. But I'm just saying the base ground. People.
Wait a minute. You say that you used to be an ANCAP, and you're saying that anarchy is chaos?
Yeah. In a way.
I'm skeptical that you were ever really an ANCAP. If you have.
No, I was an ANCAP hardcore.
So where did you get your education from? Rothbard, Mises?
Yeah, Rothbard, Mises.
And they never describe anarchy as chaos, do they?
Right, they never did. But I also studied some of the other ones. Like I forgot their names, but like if you look them up, I used to like post this on Wiki. They're like anyway, some of them like the older like anarchists, like when it first started out. These anarchists you mentioned are like some of the newer ones that came up with ANCAP.
So you're talking about like Pruitt?
Not him. Anyway, but they eventually came to the conclusion, like the ones that did anarchy and it came to nihilism and communism and all all that stuff came out.
Yeah, they never had a foundation in self-ownership.
They were trying to do self-ownership at one point, but then they got disillusioned because they realized that in anarchy you can do anything you want, and if you have the might to force that will onto the reality, then you can hold that position. So they realize anarchy always, the ultimate law, the only law in anarchy is might makes right, not the non-aggression principle. And I wanted to go with the non-aggression principle, so I realized that you have to have a law set down, the universal law set down, and it's non-violatable even under a might.
So the question is, and this is a very interesting question, in a situation of total freedom, which I would call anarchy, is it the state of nature that might makes right? I don't know. Why do you think it does? Why do you think that might makes right in a state of anarchy?
I want to maximize freedom, that's for sure. But total freedom doesn't maximize freedom.
What?
Right. It's a paradox, but it's true.
Total freedom doesn't maximize freedom? Explain.
Right. And under total freedom, somebody has a total freedom to kill you whenever they want. So you always have to have a shotgun to defend your rights. So you always have to be protecting your property.
Or a defense agency.
Or a defense agency,
Insurance.
True. And so like we have
or a good fence.
Something like that. It's called Blackwater. It's called mercenaries, and they're running amok, and they're just like totally like violating everything.
Wait a minute, Kwang. You can't honestly, with any intellectual integrity, suggest that Blackwater is somehow some state of nature anarchist defense agency when they're clearly a creation of the state.
They're a private corporation hired by the state. By multiple states, terrorist organizations, they work for anybody, for any
Okay,
for a
let's
price.
get something clear, though. Just because Apple and Microsoft are private corporations doesn't mean they're not also creations of the state. When something becomes incorporated, they're signing paperwork and registering with the state so that they can limit liability for themselves. They can do things like create wars, torture people overseas, and then foot the bill onto the American people. They don't have liability when they do something wrong, but they get to reap the profits. That's fascism. That's not freedom.
That's correct, and that term actually isn't fascism, but like that's another story. But like
fascism is the merger of state and corporate power, as said by Mussolini, who knew a thing or two about fascism. And I'm sorry to raise my voice, but like let's be real.
That is true. Fascism is the merger of state corporate power, and actually that's pretty close to what corporations and stuff are. But like fascism, actually, the state actually like creates these corporations like out blank. They don't have like a corporate thing, and then they like do contracts like that. But anyway, that's not what I'm trying to say. Like I'm saying, all that stuff that you're mentioning that's horrible now, all that can exist, and will exist in anarchy.
Why?
There's nothing stopping that from happening because anarchy.
Because I won't pay for Blackwater. If they come knocking on my door,
like anybody will, and like they don't have to.
Okay, wait a minute, stop there. I'm gonna mute you. Just hold on a second. I'm Blackwater. I'm going door to door in Anarchyville, and I have to raise private funds in order to continue my service. What's the first question on my first customer's mind going to be? Kwang, ask me, what's your question? As a prospective customer, I've come to your door, I'm saying, hey, I'm Blackwater, come sign up for my business. What are you going to say?
Well, if Blackwater's coming to my door, they're not even going to ask me anything. They're just going to rob me. That's it. They don't need to ask. They're mercenaries. They just do whatever they want. That's my point. Like
that doesn't, I mean, you're blowing my mind right now. use your imagination.
Like
So
predation
you really
is-
think that Blackwater can go door to door, knocking on everyone without everyone's consent? You know, the people
and rob
the people outnumber Blackwater. I mean, okay, I'm from. I get that
doesn't-
you're
I
in
like-
Atlanta.
like people
I'm in New
out-
Hampshire. That's not effing happening in New Hampshire. I'm sorry. Like, you
Like,
can't go
not
door
in
to
New
door and rob
Hampshire.
people.
But like under like if there was a state where martial law happens, Blackwater will. Like they do it in Iraq and whatever. They do it whenever. Like they find opportunities and they build their power. It's about gangs and like collective like predation in anarchy. I'm saying if we need a state of with natural law enforced, we're like
By whom?
by the benevolent dictator, I suppose.
Oh, okay. So
Or-
when
or
we
the
find the
Republic-
unicorn, then
or
we'll
the
be
Republic-
okay.
All right, or the Republic. But on the Republic, a lot
Republic-
of people have to be like initiated into like sovereignty and like natural law and stuff. Like education and consciousness has to awaken for a republic to work, and in some ways, in a benevolent dictatorship too. But like you have to have an initiated, enlightened, like either a leader or people in order
Kwon,
to have
I am skeptical that you have read Mises or
the
Rothbard.
maximum like freedom.
I'm going to
like-
mute you. I appreciate your call. Please go back to the books because it's clear that you haven't taken the time to read about self-ownership. Why can't there be a benevolent dictator? Maybe we could talk about that in the third segment, not you and I, but maybe I'll opine on that, or maybe another caller will tell us. Why can't there be a benevolent dictator that will just order society for all 300 million people, and they're going to just let whoever wants to do what they want to do have freedom, so I don't have to obey this benevolent dictator? This makes no sense at all. The only way to freedom is for individuals to declare their personal independence, have that resonate in their own communities until the whole world is free. It's as simple as that. You take control. You have peace in your life. Let that spread throughout your friends and family and the people who you influence in your life, and then we'll have world peace. Benevolent dictators, good luck finding that. It's called a unicorn.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victims' crimes.
Hey, Kwong, you there? I was a little harsh at the end, but it's for effect. And I appreciate you calling in and sharing your thoughts. They're definitely unusual, and
Yeah, they are.
And
That's
I appreciate your willingness to bring them forward in public. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, we've got the same like perspective in most cases.
Well, it doesn't even matter if we have the same perspective. We can at least be cordial and share new ideas with the people. This is the alternative media, you know, and they don't talk about this stuff on Fox News. So I'm grateful to have discussions with people with whom I disagree. Oh, we're getting another call, so I got to let you go. Cheers, Kwong.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Call in on Tuesday.